Well, yeah, you have to share it.
That's what I'm asking. No, hey, you know me with
I have the
technology. I've got to
control.
double check. And then,
Y'all are broadcasting.
oh, okay.
So y'all can start sharing your stuff whenever you see your pop-ups.
All right. So you're ready, Chuck?
Yes, sir. I got my notices. Hey,
Let's see. Did you get
John
all?
Payton is
Here we go.
streaming.
Got mine too.
Double check. Double trouble.
Got it, and got it.
It's double trouble time.
Oh no.
Okay, you
Oh,
accepted my
yes.
invite.
Oh no.
Thank you. It's only 5 minutes late, but
And then did Chip get? I'm gonna see if he got his email.
you mean Ben?
Yes, Ben.
Benjamin Franklin.
I know.
Is he going to be on today?
I can't wait to
8:30.
ask him about Paris.
Wow.
Oh yes, we're going to ask about his escapades in France.
What about the storms? You flying a kite last night?
He was inventing the bifocals.
He didn't check his hair.
You know they've got stuff for that.
Well,
Hair
and then
for the
I'm
hair.
super excited. We've got James Sellers with Make Your Mark with Sightmark.
Yep.
All right, tell us when
At
you're
8
done
o'clock.
sharing.
We the people.
Are you ready, John?
Man, we are almost there.
All right, I'm going to mute you here in a second. Just let me know. We can do our intro.
All right, we'll do.
I love it. Okay, so Ben Franklin shared a picture on Facebook. That's so funny.
Hey, there's the comments. They're popping up.
I like it.
Good morning, crew.
Good morning to the crew. Getting ready to get you out there.
Woohoo, getting ready to. Well, we are live. Getting ready to start.
Starting
So there you go.
Is today Pun Day Monday?
Today is Chuck's
Is it coming
Monday
from-
Monday.
Yeah, Ben doesn't have that
Monday.
email yet. Ben doesn't have the email yet.
Oh,
Is it coming from the JP, Kathy, and the crew?
yes. Can you?
And we
forward
did
that?
get it out to James, right?
Oh wait, just a second here. Yeah, we got it to James. Just a second. Just a second.
All right, we are shared out.
I thought I got it out to Ben. I didn't get it to Ben. Sorry.
All right, we got a great number on this morning. I wonder if I'm finally coming out of Facebook prison, Kat.
Don't say any. Just don't jinx it. Stop talking. No, don't
Yeah,
even
start-
mention it.
We'll talk.
Zip it. Zip it.
We'll talk in hieroglyphic.
Yeah, yeah. Flash me some signs, man. Some sign language signs. Don't say anything. Did you do a different
Ben
way?
should have it.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I didn't get it out to him. Whoops. We
Lots
see
of local
John,
news
not
this morning.
The calendar. There we go.
Okay, people are gonna wonder what we're doing. Let's do the announcement.
All right. All right, good
Let's
morning,
do it.
guys.
Let's
All right,
roll.
we're ready to go. Live from Venture X Studios in Frisco, Texas. It's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
Man, good morning, Catherine Ann, and it's a party in Phoenix, let me tell you.
Maybe now I can.
I can hear you.
There we go. Okay,
You sound like
I couldn't hear me.
you sound
I
like
was about to say Happy Monday, but that was 2 days ago. So now this is one of those
That was 2 days
days
ago.
we are completely thrown off. Well, first of all, good morning to you, JP, in Phoenix. I was going to say Frisco. We're in Frisco. You're in Phoenix. We can see your kitchen, your dad's kitchen.
Man, we're cooking up things over here, JP, Kathy, and the crew. That's what's going on.
But well, so today, okay,
Hey,
so
did that
today's
on purpose.
Wednesday.
Breakfast?
So today's Wednesday. So happy Wednesday to the crew. It's just kind of crazy how, like, when you have a Monday off, doesn't it just kind of throw you off for the rest of the week? Like, you're all confused all week, or is that just me? Oh,
No, you're confused all week.
Hey, can you tell?
so you're not afraid to say
now
that.
this is our first time back.
You're
So
not
I want
afraid
to get Confucius out of the way. Tell me about Labor Day, man. Tell me about the big rally and
we
how
had a
things
blast.
went.
I was so bummed out that y'all weren't able to be there, but I understand. You know, you've got a big task at your dad's house, and the crew is praying for you because packing up your mom and dad's house. We know that's a really big deal, JP. So we're praying for you and your dad, and just know a lot of memories are being sifted through right now. So. We're thinking about you. But yeah, thanks for asking about Labor Day. We had a Labor Day rally, the Collin County Republican Party, on Monday. And it, those of us who were planning it had said, hey, if we get 150 people out there, first of all, we had a hard time finding a place. Luckily, Mike McCandless, who's, as a matter of fact, he's on the ballot in November for city council. He and his wife opened up their venue to us out at Rock Creek Ranch. We ended up with some of my counters said there were 400. Some people said there were 450 when you start counting all the kids that were outside playing. It was just kind of like, one of those moments in time where patriotism, abounded. Austin Michael, young man from American Idol, he came and sang with the Matt Middleton band, and it was great. We got to introduce our candidates who are on the ballot. Everybody just had a great time being patriotic, loving our country, loving God, and loving liberty. So was super excited, just exceeded any expectations we had, JP. So thanks for asking about that. Yeah, we had a great time. Lots of new people who are just kind of fed up with. It's interesting. Some of the things that Congressman Taylor talks about, new people who I was meeting on Monday were talking about the same things. So just a great time had by all. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome. Well, Matt Middleton and I, we've known the family for now almost 32 years.
He was mad that he wasn't on the show. He was supposed to have been on the show, he said, to talk about the event.
he never showed up. So you got to show up to be able to be on the show.
Yeah, but he's like, that's right. He's like, I know JP a long time.
Well, the very first Labor Day picnic that we put on, back in the day, that's the band I got to come out and do the first Labor Day picnic, and he's done them ever since. That's been fantastic.
They're so talented, JP. Just what a great group.
So interestingly enough, I've been watching political ads here in Arizona. Of course, very Republican state for the most part, at least in the Maricopa County area.
Right.
But it's been interesting to watch the Biden-Harris ads. And I've also gotten to watch some of the Senate ads with McSally.
Oh,
here in Arizona.
That's right. Yeah, because you're seeing different, like in the North Texas area, we're really not seeing any Biden-Harris, ads or whatever. But that's interesting. Yeah, you're out in a different part of the country, so you're seeing ads that we're not seeing. What are they like?
Well, that's it. So the Biden-Harris ads, it's interesting. So one of the ads has him in a mask, and they shoot to different scenes, and he's got different masks on.
Right.
And he just looks old. Do you remember Tales from the Crypt and the Crypt Keeper?
JP.
I can't help it. I mean, I don't know if they're putting white makeup on him, but it's whiting out his entire face and head. And it's like, I don't know who's doing your makeup, but it looks really bad. I mean, he looks like he's a ghost walking around. And then the message is hope. Like, Biden is going to deliver hope. And it's like, I'm surprised that there aren't organizations jumping all over this saying, where were you for the last 40 years if you were our hope?
Well, that's my whole thing. Okay, you had 47 years to get whatever it was you wanted to get done. What's your 48 going to do for you? I mean, if you couldn't do something in 47,
right.
Like JP, if you had been judge, well, you were a judge for what, 28 years? You were a JP for 28 years. Okay. If you wouldn't have been able to get like if you would have done nothing in those 28 years, you wouldn't have been there those 28 years. Heck, for sure in a private sector
right,
job.
I wouldn't have been.
If you're in a private sector job for 47 years and you produce nothing other than maybe, getting a federal building named something or maybe signing on to somebody else's legislation, I don't understand where this charismatic leadership is going to come from when it wasn't there before.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, first of all, you can be as charismatic as you want, but where's the work?
Show me
and
the
that's
money.
my thing.
Show me the money.
Yeah, show me the work that you've done. And my biggest issue is the fact that the hope is, well, we'll get rid of Donald Trump. And so then we've accomplished our hope part of this. Like what he's running now is a Social Security.
That's a good point. Yep. That's it.
They're running Social Security ads, and they're saying that Donald. And it's funny, they say it three different ways back to back. That by 2023, Donald Trump is going to bankrupt Social Security. In 3 years, Donald Trump will bankrupt Social Security. Okay. And it's like you've already said this 3 times, just in 3 different ways. Right. And then it says, and Biden is going to guarantee you your Social Security. And I'm thinking, okay, dude, Congress will never not fund Social Security. This is a political beating tool for party pundits when it's time for election. But you're never not going to.
It's one of those shocking, scare me kind of a thing.
I think the only way
Congress
will do anything,
and the baby boomers vote.
The way Congress will do anything for Social Security is if you make them to where their retirement draws from Social Security, but Congress doesn't get their retirement from Social Security. If they have to live with Social Security, they'll fix it.
Well, and I've always said that my whole life, but beside the point, it's only a political beating tool. You're not going to defund Social Security.
No, that's it.
Give me a break.
It's a scare tactic. Like we talk every 4 years, somebody comes out, and usually it's the Democrats come out with some kind of a scare tactic and give me a break. Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, that's all it is, JP.
Right. And so what it comes down to is that they're trying to run scared ads, and then they're trying to run hope that Biden is somehow this big hope all of a sudden. And I don't get that part. For me, I'm looking and I'm shaking my head and I'm like, where were you, dude, for the last 40 plus years? So the ads have been interesting. And then the McSally ads are very interesting for Senate.
Yeah, tell me about that.
So Mark Kelly, this is interesting. His wife is Gabbert, who was shot in the Tucson area in front of the grocery store, right?
As a congresswoman, yes.
Right. And so now he's running for the Senate, and McSally ads are running, and it's all been printed in the newspaper that he took $15 million from the relief, the COVID-19 relief fund, basically, for his business, because he was going to guarantee 400 new employees, and he didn't even hire 100. And they're like, where'd the $15 million go?
Wow.
And then on his end, it's same business as usual with McSally. She doesn't answer questions. She's not transparent. So again, very interesting politics in Arizona that we don't get to see the ads necessarily in Texas, or at least in the North Texas area.
Right.
So very interesting. I find it very interesting. If you had a chance, I recommend the crew and everybody else that's listening and watching, Google Biden and Harris ads so you can see them in different regions of the country. I've done the same exact thing. And so again, very interesting. I guess what I'm coming back around to is that whether you like President Donald Trump or not, Biden and Harris is not an option. The Democratic Party is limping into this presidential election with a guy who did nothing as a vice president and a attorney general / presidential candidate out of California that was about as consistent as the weather in Texas. And so it's time to move on.
It really is. I mean,
elect Trump and Pence.
If that's their best, and JP, here's an interesting thing. I don't know if you've noticed this yet, but we did talk about this after the DNC convention, that Kamala came out and she was talking like she was a Disney princess, all syrupy sweet and blah, 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 and had nice soft curls and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, who's that? Well, the more I see her speak and the more I see her put stuff out on social media, I think she's going to be one of those candidates like Hillary. She's just not likable. She's just not a nice person. She's an angry person. She's a very gruff person. So I see them trying to, so Biden, they're trying to hide away because they don't want him to look weak or feeble. But then Harris, I think they're trying to hide her away because they're trying to make sure that everybody doesn't go, God, what's her deal? So they've got two folks out there that they can't show as much as they need to. How do you get elected when you've got President Trump everywhere?
Well, and here's what I think is interesting. What I think is interesting is these ads that, again, you don't see them in North Texas. They show him out and about, right, rather than in his cellar. I'm telling you, mark my words. Yes, something is going to happen. Something is going to happen on the first debate where he's going to have to do the debate from his cellar because he's been exposed by an aide.
I think you're right.
From COVID or something.
Yep.
So they can feed him the information so he's not embarrassed. And so, yeah, I think it's interesting. Well, Kathy, we have an interesting show today. I'm super excited. We've got Make Your Mark with Sightmark with James Sellers.
Yay,
and today I want to get
James!
into optics and all that good stuff. And then I've been told there was a little bug put in my ear that I had to have cleaned out by the doctor. Benjamin Franklin's going to be on the show.
Love it.
And so very excited about that. Also, don't forget to tune in on Thursdays from noon to 1 to The Lawyer Show with Jeremy Rosenthal. And then don't forget to pick up Dr. Good at Ask Dr. Be Good on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Sundays, right here on JP, Kathy, and the Crew Network. And so, Kathy, a lot going on in local news. Want to throw this out there. Tell you what, I'm going to let you lead with the Dallas Stars, and I'm going to follow up with a story in the news this morning. So tell us what you know about your Dallas Stars.
Well, and I've got my Dallas Stars hat on today. So the NHL conference finals are being held. And of course, the Dallas Stars, our own Dallas Stars, go Stars, are playing the the Golden Knights, Las Vegas's team. So Vegas came back last night. They beat the Stars. So the series is tied 1-1. I'm still going to pull for. Obviously, I'm going to pull for the Stars. No duh. Well, that's intelligent. But I tell you what,
No duh.
Yeah, no duh. That's a sports term for those of you who are sports professionals. It just tells me and again, it's been kind of hard because it's been a truncated season, so that's been odd. But we had predicted, and along with our dear friend Chris O'Sullivan, back at the end of the series, the Stanley Cup series last year, that this would be the Dallas Stars year. And I tell you what, I still think they pull it out. They are phenomenal under pressure, and just go Stars, go.
Well, it's all in the goal box, and we've got two solid goalies, and when Bishop is on, you're not going to be able to touch him.
Right.
And so go Dallas Stars, absolutely. Now, hey, listen, if you want to have fun and you want to get out, guess what they're doing at the American Airlines Center? They are hosting fans for the first time since March. They did it Tuesday night. How exciting. The Dallas Stars hosted a watch party for Game 2 for the Western Conference Finals against the Knights, and they plan to host one for each of the remaining games. The arena can hold up to 18,500 when the Stars are playing, and it's been capped at 20% capacity for social distancing and the purposes due to COVID-19, of course. In a normal year, there would have been a sellout crowd, but there are several safety protocols in place. And are you ready for this? Several fans who requested it received free tickets to the event.
Oh,
how fun is that?
You gotta love that. Yeah, when I saw that, came across an article about them opening the American Airlines Center back up. Those are positive signs, JP. Those are signs that everybody's getting back to the business of living.
Absolutely. And so also Masks are mandatory. So if you're going to have it, you got to be in the mask. It's a pod system, which every other row is blocked off, but fans in small groups or couples are allowed to sit together. Concessions are cashless. And just like most retailers and restaurants, there are also plastic barriers between customers and workers. Chris Sightmark said, I've never been to a playoff hockey game, so this is as close as I can get with it being free, and you can't pass that up, so we're excited for it.
Love it. Love it.
So how much fun is that?
That's awesome.
Yeah, so the Dallas Stars, go Stars. You know, again, and Kathy, here's my thing. I'm as confused as a goat on AstroTurf. And my father would, of course, say, John, they're not confused. But here's my thing. Why are we worried about COVID-19 on money? I don't get it. The CDC has come out and said that it doesn't stay on surfaces for more than 30 to 60 seconds.
Here's the thing.
I mean, what are we pushing here
I
towards?
think it goes back to, and we've got to go back to when COVID first came about. There was this report, that report, that report, this report. You know, like today on the way to the studio, I saw an older gentleman. I mean, looked like he was much older, like maybe like at least like 80s. I looked closer to 90s, walking, and he had a mask on by himself out, you know, when it was still kind of, you know, halfway dark outside. And so I looked and I thought, that probably isn't the safest thing for him to have that mask on. And why would he have the mask on when he's around no one? He's just, you know, obviously out doing a morning exercise. I think people get it in their head, things they heard from the very beginning. And as a result, you stick to what you felt comfortable with in the beginning. I mean, there are a lot. I know I've got somebody who owns a small business, and any cash that comes through her hand, she sanitizes it, lets it dry out before she puts it in her purse and before she brings it home. Again, I think and like we've talked about, you know, they still do the things on the news. COVID, and it's this big angry virus picture. I think a lot of it goes to the fear mongering that comes from the media.
I know cash was always king. That's what my parents always said. Cash is king.
Not anymore.
Got cash, people want.
Do you remember when they came out with ATM cards back in the day?
Yes.
When they first came out with
magic.
Okay. So I'm just a kid, right? Back in the day, I'm sitting there saying, you watch, we are moving away from cash in our society, and I don't like that. I don't like the banks to have that much control over the flow of what's going on in my account.
And they do.
I mean, keep this in mind. Huh?
And they do. I mean, JP,
And they
think
do.
about it. You've got, well, how many times have you had things, I mean, you've had money basically stolen from your account. You've had several issues over the last year since you were going back and forth between Phoenix and the Dallas area. You've had several $1,000 stolen.
I've been through what? 2-3 debit cards now where I've had them stolen, missing, what have you. But here's the thing, right? There are 2 different amounts running on your account at all times. There's the amount in your account. Then there's the amount that's been debited but not processed through your account. And actually there's a third run. Then there's those that have been processed but have not appeared on the front end of your accounts yet. So people have gone in and actually done all of that and then written checks. And because it's on the back end of the bank, not the front end of the bank, they don't see that money's already spent. And then they're giving out cash. And then banks are trying to call customers to come back and give the money back. And somebody is pushing us to a cashless society. I don't know who. I'm not a fan of that. And it's like now we're using COVID-19 to kind of capsulize that. So I'm not a fan of that.
When you don't have the cash, people don't understand the value of money. When you go out and you spend, you know, now it's a lot cheaper now, but 30, 40, 50 bucks on a tank of gas, you understand what that real value is, and you're paying with cash. It's hard to let go. But when it's just some digital, you know.
Yeah, but then you say that, but then like my kids who have had to learn how to check their account on a regular basis, hey, make sure you've got the money for that, because remember you've got, you know, your Apple Music that's coming out that's going to be debited on a monthly basis. So I think the mindset's different. Yes, I've gotten into a habit of bringing cash to the store with me whenever I can, because then I don't buy 19 extra things that I don't need. All of a sudden, like there's 5 things I'll be like, I did those are just impulse buys. But I think this next generation, they really haven't known a world with cash. They've known a world where you have a paycheck that's direct deposited into your account, and you have to keep up with it. So I think that's also an age thing, Charles. I think so.
Well, and think of it this way too. How many movies have we seen since the mid 80s where they're scanning your neck, or they scan your wrist, or they scan a card you have,
Yep.
and all your credits. See, again, moving away from cash, all of your credits are on your identification band or what have you. Again, not a fan. All right. Before we get James Sellers on here, he's about 5 minutes out. I want to talk about COVID-19 and the vaccine trial. I don't know if you've heard this, Kathy, but the fire chief for the city of Allen is one of tens of thousands of people worldwide who are helping researchers develop a COVID-19 vaccine.
Oh, I did not know
Chief
that.
Jonathan Boyd, says he just wants life
a
to
friend of mine.
get back to normal. What's that, Chuck?
He's been a friend of mine for, since we were in high school.
Very cool.
Jonathan Boyd?
Yeah. He's a great
Very
great guy.
cool.
So
I didn't realize he
he's
was doing
participating. He's participating in the clinical trials, and he feels like that's his small contribution. In fact, this is what he says. He goes, "I know there's going to come a time when I'm going to talk to our firefighters about getting the vaccine and the community about getting the vaccine, and I wanted to do it from a place of understanding," Boyd said. So he's part of a study for the Moderna vaccine, which already cleared early stage safety tests. He received his first shot August 25th and doesn't know if he got the real thing or a placebo. He said, "I did get a sore arm and a little fever after the first shot, so that may indicate it was a vaccine, but that's really no way of knowing for sure," Boyd said. He still wears his mask and social distances. If he did get the vaccine, it could be weeks before the antibodies develop. And so he's prepared to answer questions. I'm going to contact the city of Allen and ask if we can't get him on the show and talk about that and what they're about in it and all of that. So I'm excited about that.
That would be great. And I know, and just we've got several things we want to talk about today. We're going to talk about Luby's closing. And so if you're a member of the crew, we want to hear what's your favorite meal. I know. I don't even. It's my brother and I were texting each other. My brother even said, he goes, "We need to do something like a Save Luby's, like a Save Ferris." Remember Save Ferris Bueller? A Save Ferris campaign for Luby's. But we want to hear about what your favorite meal was. Family memories from Luby's. God, just so great. And then also huge news on our president. And I know we'll talk about that probably after we talk to James. But huge news on President Trump this morning.
So, Kathy, one of the other things going on out there, right before we get James on, and it looks like I'm having battery issues potentially. Chief of Police in Dallas has decided to resign amongst a tumultuous thing here.
She is, she wanted to make it effective as of, I think, November 10th, I think, was when she wanted it to be effective. They've asked her to stay until the end of 2020. I bet she's got another gig somewhere.
Well, if she's smart.
I mean,
man, that sounds terrible.
It is what it is. If I were her, I would have had my resume out there this whole time.
Yeah, mine as well. Hey, looks like we've got James Sellers joining us. Let's ask him about that. I'm curious what his thoughts are on that. James, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing, John? Kathy?
Good.
Hey, how are you?
So,
Doing good.
James, talk to us. What do you think about Chief Hall's resignation and the council not letting her help transition the new chief and kind of pushing her out the door? And she's like, "I'm out the door." I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Wow. Can you recap that for me in a little more detail? I don't want to speak without full knowledge of the subject.
Do you mean you don't listen to JP, Kathy, and the crew until you come on? James Sellers.
I was working.
I was working.
I was listening on and off, so I missed that part. So
there, so Chief Hall has announced her resignation here at the city of Dallas as the chief of police.
Okay.
No real reason for it. Just, hey, I'm resigning. Some people are speculating it could be over the BLM protesters, that it could be over some of the things that have gone over the last 3 years with lack of community engagement to help keep crime down, having to bring the state troopers in to Dallas to help control crime when crime spun out of control and murderers were, I don't know if you remember, between January of last year and like May, but we were over 100 people murdered in Dallas during that time frame, and they had to call people in. And so Chief Hall has announced her resignation. Here's one of the comments that Hall wrote. These past 3 years have been saturated with a series of unimaginable events that individually and collectively have never happened in the city of Dallas. And so, Kathy and I are speculating that she's got a better gig somewhere. And she's like, I'm out of here. Dallas is
she said she can't.
I'm out.
Basically, and Fred Nord has said she's got a place somewhere else, or a gig somewhere else. She said she can't say, and I would assume that's for safety reasons, and I get that. I don't. And here's the thing: she's the first female to have served in that leadership position in the city of Dallas, first woman of color, and so it was interesting. Where I thought this would be a great fit. I think she's kind of gotten pushback from the city council, a number of city council members for a while. I think the big falderall on the bridge with the rioters when she arrested them. Supposedly there was some kind of issue with, the report said one thing, but details from other people said something else. So I don't know. If I were her, I literally think if you're the police chief in Dallas, that is a no-win situation.
Yeah, I think the whole politicization of our police and public safety is a very complicated situation for our law enforcement officers, and it'd be really interesting, I think, to try to get a place in a type of city where, as a police officer, you'd want to serve, much less being the chief of police, which is on the front line.
Right.
Well, and James, I kind of threw you there right in the middle of the heyday, but I know how smart you are, so I knew you'd be on top of it. So, hey, I want to give us the proper introduction here, though, right? So, join us right now for Make Your Mark with Sightmark.
Thank you, John. I appreciate being here, and it's good to get caught up on the politics of Dallas. I think one of the reasons I live in Mansfield is I try to stay away from the politics of Dallas. But anyway, I know not everybody gets to live in away from major metros right now. It definitely seems like the cities are getting a little more difficult to live in, and it makes, I think, people want to get out and get outside and out in the country a little bit more every day. But if everybody was out in the country, it wouldn't be called the country anymore; it'd be a city. So we got to.
That's true. Well, and let's talk about getting out a little bit. I want to talk about some of the optics that you have. First of all, what is an optic for a firearm? What is an optic?
Absolutely. So essentially, what optics that we manufacture firearms make them more accurate, and essentially, you can go all the way from an optic like a red dot. Which basically just allows a shooter to see the point of target much more quickly and easily, and allow them to control and handle that firearm very safely. And that optic doesn't actually magnify the image. Then we have, on the far extreme side of that, is you have optics designed with lots of lenses to magnify that image so you can see things very, very far away, and then place very accurate shots, like a rifle scope, for example. We recently got back, maybe like a month ago. We went out and shot a mile, and with that, you need very excellent, marksmanship, a good rifle, good ammo, and you need really great optics. So in that case, you're going to need a lot of magnification and a lot of clarity and brightness to those optics. So we kind of cover the gamut on that. We have optics that can be used in shotguns and pistols and rifles. We sell laser bore sights to help people sight in the rifles, and we have like binoculars and spotting scopes and things you traditionally would see either at a range or out in the field.
So talk to me. Let's talk about the different range of things that you have with your company, with Sightmark. So you said binoculars. So you guys also produce the optics for binoculars.
We do. We manufacture a series of binoculars called the Solitude line. And the idea with that is to get people where they can really see the clarity and brightness of, yeah.
We can hear you, Chuck. James and I can hear you. Was that supposed to be a behind-the-scenes technical
How can
thing
you
there,
hear
Chuck?
us?
Because James and I can hear you.
Sorry.
What's
How
up,
can
Chuck?
hear me?
How you doing?
The engineer gets into the mix. So James, you were saying.
Yeah. So, you got to think really what people are trying to accomplish and then what's the best tool for that. It's, a lot of times binoculars are used very commonly by like bird watchers or people at sporting events. They just want to see something up close and get a lot more detail. With like this time of year, dove season here and people thinking about deer hunting. Obviously with hunting deer across the state, the different rules by county, it's very important in some states. If it's a buck only county, you got to make sure it's a buck. So to do that, you need to get some good, binoculars to make sure that the deer is legal to shoot before you shoot it. And one of the top rules of gun safety is always know what you're shooting before you shoot. And it's a lot safer to do that with a pair of binoculars and through a rifle scope.
So now, James, do you do anything that would be considered military grade, or is everything you manufacture military grade?
Well, we can and we do manufacture some products that are using very similar technology to technologies found in military products. We make to a lot of the same specifications that the military demands. High recoil, waterproof, very durable. We use technologies like the military use, like thermal imaging and sensors. However, we don't manufacture anything on Sightmark for a big federal omnibus contract. Some federal law enforcement agents have used our things, and we're glad they do, and we wish they'd use more of it. And if anybody out there is listening as a federal agency would like to have a contract with Sightmark, we'd very much like to entertain that.
Shameless plug. I love it.
So did marketing tell you to give us that commercial?
Yeah, we're ready. We're ready for a government contract. But we really actually do. We kind of look like when we look at our people that we serve, they kind of fit into three main groups. The probably the largest group is civilians, everyday people who want to go out and shoot with their family or friends, or just go target shooting themselves. That people maybe in competitive shooting, long distance or bench rest or 3-gun. So that's definitely a big segment. And then we serve hunters, people that take the firearms and want to go in the field and they want to put meat on the table, or maybe they have a infestation of hogs, or they have coyotes killing their animals, or whatever it is. So then people use that for hunting. And the third group is really for law enforcement, for people who dedicate themselves to protecting other people. And we want to make sure they have the best technology, the best gear, and make sure that they're safe and they come home to their families. So those are kind of the three segments that we serve with our products.
Now, James, I think one of my big questions, because it would seem to me that optics would provide some form of gun safety as well, especially if you're out hunting, because it does give you, I think, a better perspective of what your target is. And I think that you would be able to see if you're aiming by accident at somebody else out hunting.
Right.
So tell us about optics and safety and
Sure.
how optics can help provide some safety.
So I would say it starts at the beginning. I mentioned earlier we make a product called a laser bore sight, and we're probably one of the largest. We actually have the largest market share in that segment. So I think we produce more in-chamber bore sights than anybody by a lot. And what that does is it's basically a laser inside a cartridge that looks like actually I have one over here. This was not staged, by the way. So this is actually a 10-year anniversary version of this. Usually they're copper. But basically you put this into your firearm and it'll emit a laser down the barrel. And that will show you the theoretical point of impact. When you do that, there's no bullet in the chamber because you have the laser in the chamber. And that gets you to sight in, your optic or iron sights for that matter, to make sure everything's lined up. So when you pull the trigger at the range, you're going to be on target or very close to it, and then compensate for, the ballistics of the bullet. And that's really important because the number one thing is you have to go to the range. You have to practice your firearm. You have to know how to operate, how to use the safety, how to how to eject a bullet, how to feed a magazine, how to take care of a jam, all those things. And then make sure your firearm is safely and accurately sighted in. If you're going hunting, I mean, one of the most important things is that you're going to be hunting a deer. You want a clean kill. You want to be able to shoot the animal and have the animal drop so you can recover it and then recover the meat. So it's very important that you check that. You check your zero. And the bore sights also allow you to do that later. If you're traveling and you have a gun in a case, it's rattling around, and you are able to put the bore sight back in it, you can check to see if it's still zeroed. So, I think knowing your firearm first and knowing how to properly handle it is very important. Know that safety is always on. Always, treat the gun as loaded, and don't load your firearm until you're planning to use it. And then when you're out in the field, you mentioned the importance of knowing where you're hunting and shooting. That's one of the great things that optics does. It really helps you see things that otherwise you can't see. And you want to make sure that there's no, animals like cows or horses or something behind that hog that you want to shoot. It's very important you know what's behind the target you're shooting. And I think, you bring up a really good point. I think everybody really, whether they hunt or they want to have a firearm for personal security, or they just want to go out and shoot targets, you got to really know gun safety and take that very seriously.
So, and when we talk about, you mentioned something, and I want to go back to it, James, where you're able to really target in on like the buck that you're looking at, and because you're hunting for the meat, like the guys and gals that I know that go out and hunt, they're hunting for the hunt, but they hunt also because they want to process sausage and make steaks and roasts, and they're going to go back and feed their family, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it also probably, when you have good optics, allows you to get that kill without the animal suffering.
Yes, and then ethical hunting is a big deal. I mean, obviously, hard to recover an animal that runs off in the thicket, right? So you don't want to spend a lot of time tracking down an animal that's wounded, and obviously you don't want to see an animal suffer. So I would say that the optics are going to improve the quality of your hunt, the likelihood of success, and the clean ethical shot that minimizes the suffering of the animal, which is very, very important, especially to new people that haven't hunted, very often. It'll make it a fun, enjoyable experience for the family.
One of the things I'd like to talk about next month, James, is ethical hunting. And maybe you can come up with some resources on hunter education. And when you take your sons or daughters out to hunt, what does that look like with teaching them proper hunter safety and how to be ethical in their hunt? I think that'd be a great topic, and we can put that out there and have families maybe get around the social media to watch, because I know we have a lot of families that hunt with their kids. And so what is that? What does that look like? And what are some good hunter education resources, especially amongst COVID-19? Do we have online resources now rather than being in the classroom? Are we still going up to the classroom with Texas Parks and Wildlife? So what does that look like? So we'd love to talk about that next month.
Let's touch base on that next month. So what's going on in your world, John? How's everything?
Man, we're out in Phoenix. I'm out there in your dad's country.
You are?
I'm out here with my dad. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Got up at 4:15 this morning, James.
4:15. That's Phoenix time or Dallas time?
Phoenix
that's
time.
Phoenix time.
Ouch. Yeah. Kathy, make sure he never tries to get me up that early for a segment, okay?
Don't worry. I won't let him do that to you. You're safely at that 8 o'clock spot when you're on.
Yeah. I got a topic, John, I'd like to discuss with you, and I'd like to kind of do a little dive into an area that I've been thinking about with things that are going on in the news, and then, even the politicization of our law enforcement and kind of the uncertainty in our communities. But I was wondering, I was listening to a couple newscasters and read some articles about coverage of different things, and the topic of militias came up a few times. And I don't know, have you guys covered the discussion of militias and kind of the public's perception of what those are and what that means?
So I've been watching, like you have, the news, and I've been seeing militias starting to surface again. I don't know if you remember back in the late 80s to the mid 90s, the Republic of Texas. Do you remember?
I do.
Okay.
Ones that said that we never officially joined Texas again and we don't have to pay federal taxes.
Right.
That's right, and we don't have a cache anymore. They don't recognize the cache, and they were trying to pay whatever car tags or whatever in trade. Like they would bring up bags of cotton and say, "Okay, give me my sticker for my car." Because you don't even have the right to sticker my car, but here's my cotton. And they're like, we don't take cotton. You got to pay cash. Well, I don't recognize your cash.
Yeah.
And so militias got kind of that name back in the day. And then, of course, the Michigan militia, you remember that back about, goodness gracious, now, would that have been about 10 years ago?
Yeah. I'm from Michigan originally, and we had quite a few militias. And so we used to have, anyway, there's a good joke is that behind every tree in Michigan, there's a militia. So you got to be careful.
That is, James, that's a great topic that we should dive into. We need to have you be part of that conversation.
Yeah. So James, to answer that question, we have not tackled that yet, but it's been interesting because I've been watching it surface, and it's becoming more and more prevalent. And I've noticed, like, for example, after what happened in Portland with the Trump and conservative supporter, I'm starting to see militias begin to surface again. Mm-hmm. And so would love to tackle that topic as well.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting because you bring up, the chief of police resigning in Dallas. And I think when you have law officers that are not able to go into areas of unrest and people's property and lives are in danger, that's a huge problem. And, I think the militias are forming to fill those voids created by our official law enforcement. And it'd be interesting to talk about what that looks like in a modern society. Currently, militias kind of got that definitely has a negative connotation, the way the media talks about it. And I think it probably requires a little additional discernment and discussion about what that looks like, what that means, and formulate some discussion on that. So I think that'd be a good topic as well.
I think it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, let's tackle that.
Thanks for producing that segment, James.
Wednesday'd be great. Yeah, look at you, James, you little producer.
I know, I love it. We've got to give you a new title.
Well, James, what I want to leave everybody with is that, go out there, and when you research optics, not everybody's optics are equal. Tell me what that means.
Yeah, sure. So, I think each person's need is going to be a little bit different, but generally speaking, you need to dial into a little bit of what you're trying to use your optic for. So the first thing is get the right optic for the use, which means majority of people now are using AR-15s. Is a very common modern sporting rifle that a lot of people are using at the range for home defense, even for hunting. If you're going to be shooting, and shooting targets at 100 yards less, especially if those targets will be moving, like in a 3-gun, type scenario, you're going to want a red dot. You're going to want something that allows you to get on target acquisition quickly and accurately engage that target. If you're shooting something mid-range, like, maybe 70 to 150 yards, red dot with a magnifier, which basically takes that red dot image and enhances it, 3-5 times, would be a good option. Or a one, like very common now with 3-gun, and people also need to shoot longer distances, is a scope with a range, a magnification range of like 1 to 6. It's very popular with people that are wanting to do more short and mid-range. On the long distance, higher magnifications can be better. There's some technical details that you need to pay attention to, but ultimately, look at using the optic in the condition which you're planning to use it in. If it's comfortable, if you get a good sight picture, meaning you can see what you want to see in good clarity and detail and brightness, that's really what's important, is how that optic performs for you. There's a lot of companies that overcharge for what they offer. General rule of thumb is the more you pay, the more you get. And I think that there's some truth to that. But dial in the specifications. One of the things like Sightmark tries to do differently than other optics is that basically when you get a Sightmark, we try to get you features and performance that you'd have to pay a lot more for. So if you're really looking for the biggest bang for your buck, there's definitely choices out there that will offer you the latest technology and the best specifications, the best performance specifications, and you'll get a better result. So, if you have a budget, look for the best optic you can get for that budget. And I would think that if, personally, there's some choices that get you in out in the field, in the range, having accuracy, Anything you can do to maximize your accuracy and enjoyment is well worth the investment. And, a lot of folks during the journey of starting to proficiency, will change what they want and change how they use their firearm. And that's okay too. Nice thing about the new modern sporting rifles, you can change it up as much as you want. They're very reconfigurable. And that's part of the fun too, is trying different parts of the shooting sports, if you're going different types of hunts or, just having fun and just do it safely and responsibly.
There you go, safely and responsibly. So next month on Wednesday, we're going to ask you to talk about ethical hunting, hunter's education, what's out there right now, hunting with your kids, what's that look like, and then let's talk about militias.
Okay.
And what we see surfacing and how it may be impacting. And are these new organizations that are forming in cities that are getting rid of their police departments, are those really nothing more than a new form of militia?
Absolutely. Sounds like great topics.
All right. Hey, James, thank you so much.
Have a blessed
thank you, John.
day.
Thank you, Kathy.
We'll see you.
All right. You guys have a great day.
All right. Make your mark with Sightmark every once a month on Wednesdays. It's the second Wednesday of the month.
Yes, it is. Yep.
All right. From 8 to 8:30.
Yeah, we'll see you next month. Thank you all.
All right. See you next month. Thanks,
All right.
James.
Take care.
So he had
Kathy,
some great
interesting
ideas.
topic.
Great ideas for future topics. I love it when he's producing his own segments. You gotta love that.
Yeah, I do too. Well, what I love is the idea too of militias. Donald Rutledge came on and said, we may need militias more than ever now.
Yeah, and so you have to look at what is a militia. What is a militia? Because I think he's right. You've got the negative connotation, but you're right. Here's the thing: if and we kind of touched on this when, and as a matter of fact, Chance, come on in and say hi to everybody. We've got Chance with Venture X, who is in studio today. So come on in, throw on some headsets or a headset. What we were talking about, when the electricity went out during the storm last week in my neighborhood and then in the neighborhood next to mine, and literally it was just pitch black. And I said, for the first time, I felt like a little uneasy. Just thinking, gosh, if somebody realizes where this outage is, there could be a free for all. And so you start thinking about the need to protect yourselves, especially when you've got police officers resigning left and right. Don't blame them. Taking early retirement because you've got the pressure of people saying, and especially in the more liberal cities, defund the police. They don't have these new, young, strong, strapping men and women coming through for new classes or new groups of police officers. Somebody, especially here in the state of Texas, we're going to take care of the business of protecting ourselves and our family, right? And our homes, our property.
Yep. So, absolutely. Well, I agree. And Kathy, I remember how upset you were.
It was weird. I was like, kind of felt like being in the movie The Purge. You were just sitting, you kind of felt like a sitting duck because you can't see anything other than like flashlight and candlelight in your house. Completely dark, no street lights. I mean, completely black. And I was, just pitch black. And I was like, man, this is an odd feeling that I've never felt before when the electricity has gone out like this. So, and Chance, good morning.
Well, and Donald Rutledge, one of the things he's saying, Kathy, on the feed is that's when it's important to become a prepper and to make sure you can protect your home and your family, Yep. So, and I agree with Donald.
Crazy Chance, times we're in.
How was Chance's Labor Day?
Okay, is he on? Can we hear him?
Well, he's always on. He's Chance.
Well, yeah, he's Chance. He's always on.
Oh, no. Sorry.
There you go. Now, hey, Chance.
Gotta love live, man. Live is live. That was a dead mic for a while. Yeah,
I got fired.
I'm a
Chance, were you at the lake this Labor Day weekend?
Lake. I was down at Lake Livingston for a bit. And,
love it.
Came back in Louisville's my home lake, of course. And but I like to travel around. See different lakes. So
Chance, talk to us about Venture X right now. What's cool and new about Venture X and what's going on? I know Fridays you guys have started to feed people.
Right. We have another barbecue this Friday, and we're starting to try to barbecue a couple times a month, feed everybody, and kind of use it as a networking event. Obviously, we social distance, but we are kind of
we've got a big space, so we're trying to get an area where everybody can kind of come together and at least see some people, get out of the house, get away from the kids. We've got, the big thing now, I mean, I know my kids are going 2 days a week. We're in hybrid mode.
Okay, we just started. Did y'all start today?
Yeah,
with
we started yesterday.
What school district?
In Denton.
Okay, we're at Plano ISD. My son, they had yesterday off, but his 2 days are going to be Thursday and Friday. So hybrid mode.
Right. So we're trying to figure, A and B hybrid. We can't, you got to print the schedule. You don't know where you're coming or going. So my daughter went to 2 lunches the other day.
Yeah. It's like, okay, good times.
But so at Venture X, one of the things through COVID, we've tried to, adapt, clean everything. And what we're really trying to do is just build the community, bring in like the shows, like JP and Kathy, you guys, bringing you guys in, and really try and provide unique value to the members here. We do member spotlights, get our members on, and really we're moving towards video, producing videos for our members.
Love it.
And, you can come in and you rent the studio time, obviously, but the biggest thing that's setting us up, the difference is the fact what we're doing to help small businesses. And I think it is Dallas Startup Week this week, next week. So we're trying to offer services for entrepreneurs.
Love it.
Your spaces
Love it.
also are kind of isolated too, right? Because they're just because of the size.
Right. And we've got 30,000 square feet, and so we've got plenty of room to spread out. We've got multiple large conference rooms. We've got large team rooms also that we can rent out. So
it's amazing.
We can space you out for
conference call, conference,
yes.
anything. Yeah, it's interesting because you have tons of different and unique space here, which is what I like. And what you said, I think really rings true. It's a chance to get out and be around people. I've got friends of mine who, they've been cool with working from home because hey, saving gas, this, that, and the other. At this point, people are going stir crazy. Chance. I mean, people really want to get out.
Right. And I mean, what I have members tell me all the time is, I love, working from home, but if the kids are home and I'm getting, hey, the Wi-Fi doesn't work, everybody's on, Dad, help me with this. And they get twice as much done when they come up here and work. And of course, we're flexible, so you don't have to stay here all year. You can come up the school year, or you can come up, I know.
You can do month by month here.
Yeah, month to month. So there's no long-term contracts if you don't want.
Yep. Love it. Love it.
So and if you, how do they contact you? How do they contact? So take your hand, point to the left, and point down.
Oh, there it is.
And
okay,
point
right
down.
here.
Go right there. Go right there, and you can go find out more information.
You can book a virtual tour, or you can come in. I'll give you a tour. Love to see some people.
Chuck loves that. Chuck loves the whole pointing at
That's
stuff.
his favorite thing.
That's his favorite
That's his
thing.
favorite thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's kick this around for a few minutes. How about this? How about President Donald Trump being nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize?
Amazing.
Great news.
And not by just anybody.
JP,
by just
let's talk
anybody.
about it. When I saw that this morning and I sent it out to our group message system, I was blown away. I think he's so deserving, but I was thrilled to see that. I was really surprised.
Well, and I'm going to get this wrong, but Tybring Gayeti is what I'm guessing a very, very poor Norwegian, by the way, on my account. But this guy is a 4-term member of Parliament who also serves as the chairman of the Norwegian delegation to the NATO Parliamentary Assembly. So this isn't just somebody that's, out there doing something goofy. I mean, this guy's
This is
involved,
legitimate.
engaged.
Yes, exactly.
And his comments are that there has been nobody in the modern era that has done more for peace between Israel and the UAE than anybody else, and believes that as the UAE follows, the rest of the Middle East will follow.
You can't argue with what with how strong President Trump has been in our stance with Israel. I mean, he has put, so many people talk about standing with Israel, and then you have leaders who they don't do anything. It's just kind of lip service. He has actually done more towards supporting Israel than I can't think of any other elected official who's done more.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely something that's not getting recognized in the media.
Shocking, Chance.
Shocking news.
Yes, Chance has some breaking news here. President Trump's what he does is not getting recognized by the liberal media. Thank you for that
Well, I'll tell
breaking
you what,
news.
let's ask somebody who knows what it's like to watch somebody become president, run for president, and then run a very young country. I think we need to bring Benjamin Franklin in on the conversation.
Yes.
Chuck, can we bring Ben in? Ben
Mr. Franklin. There he
Hello, Mr.
is.
President. Or no, he wasn't never
No,
a
wasn't
president.
a president. No, wasn't a
He was
president.
never a president.
No,
You
but
know
he's
what?
got the Benjamins.
But
Benjamins,
he's got the
yeah,
Benjamins.
yeah.
But Mr. Franklin, most people do think you were a president, though. Do we have his audio?
You know,
There we go.
yes. we have to wear these masks. We don't have to wear these masks. I'm just so confused sometimes. What is going on in this country?
They've lost their mind, Mr. Franklin. They
Yes.
truly have.
Well, as long as we don't lose the republic.
Amen. Now,
Amen.
Mr. Franklin, have you been watching President Trump and what he's done in this country and in Israel with the UAE? Have you been able to watch any of that from where you sit?
Oh yes, he is. You know, I agree. He's done the most anyone has done ever for peace in the Middle East and with the United Arab Emirates. And it is true that what he's doing is the groundwork of some real sincere peace over there. And I should know this. You know, I spent many times in Europe being the ambassador to France, ambassador to Great Britain, well, you know, England at the time. And I've spent a lot of time with the policies and making sure that we could actually have conversations and that we weren't fighting one another anymore.
So, talking about France, I was just curious.
Oh, JP, I don't know if we want to go down that road with Mr. Franklin.
Ben is smart. He's a smart man. But you think so? I just was curious about the wine you drank.
Oh, okay. You can answer that question, Ben.
You know, wine, women, there's a lot of rumors out there, but maybe they just need to remain rumors.
It's a good thing you didn't have social.
Some of those women.
It's a good thing you didn't have social media, Mr. Franklin.
No phone
That's
videos.
the truth.
Oh,
My picture gets passed around enough. Actually, it should be passed around more.
So, you know, Ben, we're super excited here at JP, Kathy, and the Crew Network because we're getting ready to launch another show on the network, and it has everything to do with you. Tell us about your show. What's the title of your show? I mean, we're kind of excited about this.
Well, we're going to have brunch. It's called Brunch with Ben. We're going to go through a very vast number of topics from each segment, each week that we get together and we do this show. We'll have some brunch. We might even have some colonial meals thrown in there. What would we like to eat some of the meals that we ate back in the days? We might talk about electricity, talk to some inventors. We're just really excited about all the different aspects of things. But, you know, it's about getting back in touch with what matters and knowledge and knowing things. You know, that's the reason why it's so important for us to establish libraries in this country is so that people could know. They would know things that made, and we could build on that knowledge. And that's what we have done. And we've built this vast internet now that you and I can talk on now. I mean, this is amazing. And
I'm just excited we're able to bring you back. I'm with you. The internet's amazing.
But we have to continue down that road and not listen to nonsense. We have to look at the truth that's out there.
I want
I'm all
more
about
of
that.
I want more of your portraits in my wallet.
Oh, there you go.
I like those. I like those in particular.
We love those. Well,
And so
Ben,
We need to be passing around more of those. We need to be doing lots and lots of things that stimulate the economy and not like checks from the government. Who thought of that? It should be business, the economy, the free enterprise that we established here. That should be growing business.
now, Mr. Franklin, have you heard of Nancy Pelosi?
Who?
Nancy Pelosi, have you
said
heard
who?
of her?
He's going to go back to the grave.
yeah, he has no idea. And you know what? As a matter of fact, we want to keep
Well,
Mr.
there
Franklin
was this
happy.
one woman that was around back in the 1700s named Nancy something, but she was kind of a crazy woman that thought all these things. She thought she could be president, and the way she was going to be president was by getting rid of the president and the vice president.
Oh, my.
Well, she's still around.
Right?
Guess what? She's still around, Ben.
Oh!
Oh no! Hey, talk to us about Constitution Day. That's coming up. That's speaking of liberty and patriotism and free enterprise. The Constitution.
That is true. So next Thursday, September 17th, is Constitution Day, the day that we annually recognize that we are something different. We have the oldest Constitution in the world, and we can celebrate that. And that's what we're going to do with our inaugural brunch with Ben. We're going to have brunch, and we're going to celebrate the Constitution. We're going to talk about the Constitution. We're going to have maybe some trivia about the Constitution, and just like bathe ourselves in everything that has to do with this wonderful document that is our Constitution. Do you know how many amendments there are to our Constitution?
How many, Mr. Franklin?
I was hoping you'd know.
So,
Are you flirting with me?
let's see, 32. 32, Ben.
You know when the last amendment was ratified?
When was that?
In 1992, not that long ago.
That was not very long ago.
So are there 32 amendments, Ben? Help us out.
I think you're about right, somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there? Okay. So,
It's in the
again,
ballpark.
Ben, tell everybody real quick, you're going to be on Thursdays at what time?
From 10 to 11, we're going to have some brunch. We're going to talk about some Constitution, talk about some inventions, talk about electricity, and we'll have a great time.
All right, sounds good.
Looking
that gonna be
forward to it,
Benedict?
Ben.
Benedict?
And join the
Benedict?
club.
He'll be in studio here, right? In studio at Venture X.
Actually, he's going to be near the Austin area.
Okay,
He'll be
Austin, okay.
he'll be videotaping. Now there might be some times where he is in studio, and we will most certainly introduce him around to your
All right,
business
well,
owners.
I was wanting to just get in on some of that food. That's what
Well, yeah, I was wondering, is it going to be eggs Benedict?
Oh,
Wah, wah, wah.
So tell them the website, how to become a member, Ben.
become a club member at www.brunchwithben.club.
All right, fantastic.
Okay, say
Chuck,
that
if you
for
can
us
put
one
that
more
up there.
time.
Well, I can't because you guys are on the screen.
What's
So
tell me
somebody
what
from
tell
the
me
crew
one more
can
time and I'll
type
put it in the
in.
comment. I'll put it in the comments. www.ben
www.brunchwithben.club. CLUB.
God.
Well, I look forward to
Thank
it, Ben.
you.
And I can't wait till we have a private conversation about all the women and the wine.
Oh
I'm
my.
curious.
Oh my.
That's another show.
Yes.
That is a whole nother show.
All right, we'll see you next Thursday on the JP Kathy and the Crew Network. Thursdays from 10 to 11, Brunch with Ben. Love it.
Thanks,
you, Ben.
Mr.
Take care.
Franklin. God bless you.
That's too funny.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, Ben has started a wildfire all throughout the country when he decided to discover electricity and flying his kite. And but that's not the only place we got wildfire spreading, Kathy. In the state of California, they are amassing hundreds of thousands, millions of acres of land, and close to my family's home now.
I was going
in
to.
the
That
San Joaquin
was
Valley.
what I was going to ask was how is it getting closer and closer to where your family lives?
Yes, in Aubrey, California, they had to go up and rescue. Clovis PD, that's right, the Clovis Police Department went up, found out there was a woman stuck in her home, and an officer on his own drove up and rescued her and brought her down from Aubrey, California, which, again, the San Joaquin Valley is on fire. They're concerned that Shaver Lake is going to be burned all around it and won't have access to that recreation point. Of course, the El Dorado fires, it started from a gender reveal party.
Yeah, that was JP. That was when I heard about that. That was first of all, usually gender reveals. I've seen like they pop the balloons, or they do the paint, or something like that, or they open up a box and there's or they cut into a cake and it's either pink or blue icing. I guess this was. And I'm just shocked that they would have even gotten the go-ahead to do a gender reveal party with fireworks. And how many?
Was it
how
like
many
a pink
acres?
or blue M80 or something?
I don't know, but how many
Yes.
acres ended up burning as a result of that?
I mean, they
Over 70,000 acres.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean it's terrible.
Yeah.
I think I just listened to Fox this morning, and they were
Right.
talking about. I think one of the representatives was headed up there to see the damage, and was from that area also, like John's family. And it was interesting. He was saying that they recently had stopped clearing brush in the area, and I don't know. I mean, not to make it political. I mean, obviously our
It
prayers,
is though.
Our
It
prayers
is.
and our
Oh,
thoughts
God
go
bless
out.
them. God bless them. Yes.
But they were saying that I know they quit clearing brush because different groups didn't want that to happen. So now they've got this mass buildup of
right.
fiber.
It's
trees,
tender.
yeah.
It's literally.
And so that's making it worse.
You're right, and it's interesting, JP. Notice where Chance took this conversation. You and I have talked about this the last couple of years with the wildfires, which come back every year, and that's exactly what we talked about. It does cost a ton of money to clear that brush, and that's why I can't. Again, we're absolutely mortified, and we pray for the people who have lost their homes or in the past or now, or they're in danger of it. But don't they get charged enough taxes in California to where you would think brush would be cleared? Because literally that's what literally starts a wildfire is that dry brush.
Right.
That's how it spreads like that.
Well, and and talking with, again, the San Joaquin Valley is facing some very severe damage. And I say the San Joaquin Valley so you understand the impact that can have on the fruits and vegetables for this country that go in and out of the Fresno County area, Visalia, Madera, Modesto, all those areas that produce, I mean, pretty much the largest grape and raisin population in the world, along with, again, a lot of other vegetables and fruits that come out of that area. They are burning. And, in that area is very conservative. That is one of the few conservative areas in the state of California. And there are smoke warnings now. Again, Shaver Lake, Huntington Lake, all of these places are now in danger of being lost because of the fires. And I've talked to my uncle about it. And Kathy, you sent an article, and I was ready to talk about this today, so I'm glad you sent that out, about climate change. This is a sign of climate change, and it's funny. No. I told my uncle that in tongue in cheek, and he's like, "Oh," and he went off. He's like,
he didn't realize you were joking.
They would cut trees down. If they would, help clear out the forest more and do forest maintenance, we wouldn't have these fires.
Well, natural fires, when they're not man-made, are how nature clears a lot of that brush and stuff like that. So it isn't. So some of the fires are natural to help clear things, but when
not like
man,
this year after year after year, and that's the thing. This is a devastation. This is something. We've got hurricane season that we have to worry about here in Texas. They've got wildfire season, and I can't imagine anything worse than leaving your home and seeing fire creep up closer and closer and closer to your back door.
Yeah, it's scary.
But even the climate changers are even saying that, well, if we would do better maintenance, for example, clear out trees that have been killed by bark beetles.
Oh,
just let them lay there.
Now, some of it is
cleaning up the area around your homes.
Right, and it's the heat of the fires, right? It's the extra brush that's creating a hotter fire that does more damage than a fire that comes through that clears some of the brush, but they burn hotter.
Right.
So then you're actually killing the tree. The bigger trees can survive. Some of the trees, the foliage can come back faster if the fire's not as hot.
Right. Well, it's heartbreaking all the way around. And again, this is something that year after year after year is an issue. It seems like, again, that they are paying enough taxes in the state of California that somebody should be proactive on this, doggone it.
They should. And what's interesting, of course, UC Berkeley's forest ecologist and climate change scientist Patrick Gonzalez, he says that outdated policies and human-caused climate change have increased burn area by 900% across the western United States since 1984. So I buy off on that statement up until we talk about the fact that we have this human-caused climate change. The climate's going to change regardless. Hence, we had an ice age. We had the melt. We had the dinosaur age. We know we had fossils because that's where we get a lot of our oil and gas from, our fossils. And so, again, it's like Chuck said, fires aren't bad when they're naturally caused fires. Mother Nature does take care of Mother Nature. The problem is that when we do things like M80 gender release fireworks in a dry area that has not had brush cleaned out, not had dead trees cleaned out, and that stuff is so brittle that it catches fire just like that.
Well, now, had you
it's
heard,
like you said,
JP,
Kathy.
had you heard anything about, is the family who did the gender reveal, are they going to be stuck with that bill? I'd heard they're stuck with the
They
bill.
should be getting prosecuted for sure.
Yeah, I mean, how did that happen?
What they've said is that, because I've read up, I said, my uncle and I have been talking about it because now it's
Right.
hitting close to home
Right.
in the San Joaquin Valley. So they didn't do anything criminal. They didn't violate any of the laws in the state of California in regards to setting a forest fire or so they could have, if others had done something different and caused that, then yes, they'd be charged for it and there'd be criminal charges pending. Right now, there are no criminal charges going forward and there's no fines or the state looking to recover the cost of having to put that forest. And again, we're talking over 70,000 acres.
I mean,
and only
that's
10%.
devastating.
As of 3 days ago, 10% was contained. So,
well, and JP, then I've got another
Yeah.
question. Then, okay, so if was it an area where you're allowed to set off fireworks? I mean, hey, if I would imagine, and I will not confirm or deny that when my kids were younger, that we weren't out on the driveway with some sparklers and some small little this, that, or the other. Possibly, I will not confirm or deny that. But again, and I won't confirm or deny, but I also will say that if something like that would have happened, we would have had fire extinguishers sitting on the driveway with us.
Sound so much like a politician.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Okay. Imagine that. But I'm sitting here wondering, was this gender reveal not done in an area where you can't shoot off fireworks?
well, and again, that'll be something that the state, they didn't mention that or talk about that. They just mentioned the fact that when people do things criminally or criminally negligently, then they can be charged for it and they can be charged
Okay.
with felonies. And it did not say they're going to move forward with charging this couple for doing that. Here's something else that's interesting.
There wasn't malicious intent, JP. We know that. It's heartbreaking all
Right.
the way around. I didn't realize, I guess, that there were gender reveals that were fireworks. And if I'm in California, I think that's the last kind of gender reveal I'm thinking of.
I mean, and when you think about here, like you can only buy fireworks 2 times a year. You can't
Yes.
shoot them off anywhere near a city.
Exactly.
I mean, you got to drive forever to find a place to shoot them.
Right.
You got to be a no can't be a burn ban. So there's all these different stipulations. So I wouldn't think that you would just be able to buy fireworks and go shoot them off for any, no matter what the reason is.
Yeah, I've got a lot of questions on that.
So here are some very interesting statistics coming out of some of these climate changers. One is there are 48 million acres of forest and chaparral or highly flammable shrubs and bushes. The land around is about 3 million homes that are around that kind of bush. So they say that long ago, 4.5 million acres or more burned annually prior to the year 1800, according to a study by UC Berkeley, which no longer occurs at that scale. So they're saying that when they started suppressing fires, that it's brought on more fires,
Right.
because it was historically, you would burn, like you said, Mother Nature, or Chuck said, you would burn off naturally what needed to be burned off, and then you'd have new growth and you'd go on, right? So they're saying that fire suppression, again, it really comes down to this. It's not, oh my God, the carbon monoxide's changing the climate, it's going to make it horrible, and acid rain. Remember acid rain, the big acid rain push in the late 80s? We're going to die from acid rain.
I remember acid
where-
wash jeans.
Well,
Oh,
okay.
You know the cause of acid rain, right? That was all there were factories. And my dad, I remember up in Ohio, because of the steel mills,
right.
and lots of the different factories up in that area. I mean, that was a real thing, but yeah, it's not going to cause the entire climate to change. But yeah.
No. Well, so the my bottom line is this, is that it comes down to stewardship, and I don't disagree necessarily with the Berkeley professor on fire suppression being a potential problem. If you're not going to do what Mother Nature intended to do, then you're going to have to do it for her. If not, you're going to have these kinds of fires, because Mother Nature's not clearing out the brush to recreate new growth and clean out the old and the dead and bringing in the new and the fresh, right? And so I agree. If you're going to do fire suppression, then do forestry stewardship and clean up the forest,
Which has not been done
so we don't have
forever. Ironically, in California, it's not a priority, and it seems like it should be there more than anywhere else.
John just said they put 3 million homes in that area.
Right? Yeah.
That alone,
Well,
3 million
that's
homes.
plenty of
Now
timber
you're
right
cramming
there.
more house in. Exactly, you're cramming more homes in, and what do you expect to happen? Yeah.
Yep. So, with that being said, and again, like I said, I've talked to my uncle and my family in Fresno, and they're like, this all comes down to forest management is what it comes down to.
Right.
And it's not, it's not a climate change issue. We're not causing climate change, because here's my theory. My theory is this as well. If 4.5 million acres burned annually by 1800, and again, it's Mother Nature all the way around, why are these fires causing even more severe climate change? Of course, our argument is, well, carbon monoxide. Man, whatever.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Well,
Let me measure your spit bubbles again.
Hey, somebody's doing that
million-
somewhere, JP. You know that somebody's getting paid to measure spit bubbles. You know
Well,
that.
at MIT. 26 feet, you
How
can
do
make a
you get
spit
that
bubble go when you
job?
sneeze.
Well, you have to get funding. They got to have some reason to get their funding to do
Right.
these studies. So
Yeah,
they've got
exactly.
to have a hot
I
button.
think we should do a study on boogers and COVID-19. I need $1 million to start a
Hey,
lab.
write a
booger.
grant. Write up a grant.
They also have, I've seen
And I'm gonna-
studies where it's how quick ketchup comes out of a bottle.
Hey, now I need to be. And speaking of ketchup, let's transition that into Luby's talk. I need that job because I'm the condiment queen. I mean, literally, if there's a side sauce to be had, I will take that job. So, Charles, how do I get that?
I don't know.
Well, don't
So
get my
you gotta
hopes
write
up.
a grant. You got to write a grant and say, hey, I want to see.
Oh, okay.
how
so
ketchup
yeah,
comes
there
out of a
you
bottle.
go.
Heinz
So
versus who's the other guy?
Hunts and
But how
just
many
tell you there's a
people
lot of
remember the old
calories in those
cafeteria
condiments.
food?
I
cafeteria.
do, and I'm very sad about this next story. I'm really bummed.
Yeah. So, and I'm friends with the Wyatt cafeteria family and the Luby's cafeteria
Actually,
family.
and Charles, if you want, I've got the Luby story up on my screen. If you want to switch that over.
And I remember talking with them 3 or 4 years ago, and they were saying, John, we just can't keep all of them open anymore. And the one in Plano on Park Boulevard, just west of Preston, has been one of the last remaining opened Luby's in the state of Texas. And it just became one of those things where there are so many restaurants that have saturated the area, and you don't go there on Sundays anymore and get your little broccoli. And I mean, I used to love the meatloaf and the mashed potatoes.
Well, and that's what we want to
that
know. So, is that
salmon.
your favorite? Is that your favorite? Because I want to know from the crew, first of all, what are some of the memories you have of Luby's? And then also, what was your favorite dish there? I know we used to go, and again, it was something we did. It was an after church thing with my grandparents, and we went to the Luby's. Did anybody ever go to the one in Dallas where Miss Inez played the piano on the rotating stage and she would have a ball gown on? Is there there anybody from the crew who went to
I've
that
never seen that.
Luby's?
I never knew.
Oh, it was a big deal. She was this beautiful woman, and she had this ball gown on, and she was on a rotating stage. It was just it was magical. And my
You got to
favorite.
go find that, Kathy.
Yeah, I've got an article on Miss Inez because it was a big deal when she retired there. But Luby's, and it's just
Roast
a thing of
beef.
the past. Roast beef
Roast
was
beef
your
with the
favorite
gravy.
with the gravy.
And
Okay.
Some rolls.
And
There you go.
JP, you said the meatloaf and the mashed potatoes.
The meatloaf and the mashed potatoes. And remember they used to do that, what do they call that? Like a hamburger steak or something?
Salisbury steak.
Salisbury
Yep.
steak.
Yes,
Yep.
Salisbury steak.
Mashed
Oh my Lord, I
potatoes
could eat
and
like
gravy.
10 of those.
Charles, what was your favorite dish
That
there?
Louisiana, you get to. I was a kid, so Louisiana plate. You get to Louisiana plate.
Yep.
You get a meat.
Wait, that was the
dish and
Luann.
two-
No, the Luann
Luann.
plate. The
Luann.
Luann
Luann.
plate. Yes, the
Louisiana,
Luann.
Luann. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, what was your favorite meat?
I mean,
It was whatever they served ya?
Salisbury, or when we would go on Fridays, we would get that salmon. I don't know what it was. It looked like almost like a football.
There you
Like a
go.
salmon cake of some sort. I don't know what it was.
We, my brother and I were going back and forth last night, and our favorite was the fish almondine, and then their macaroni and cheese was the best because it had like that
yeah.
layer of burnt cheese over the top of it,
Oh,
which
yeah.
It was
just
starting-
made it so good.
It was starting to sound like a commercial for Luby's, and then
I know, yeah.
he says it looks like a football. You're saying the burnt edging.
But it was a macaroni and cheese burnt edging is a good thing. And then I remember it was such a treat, like the days that we'd be going through the line, and my parents would tell my brother and I, go ahead and pick out a dessert, and we would usually do the Jello with the whipped cream mixed in with it, and we're like, oh, we get dessert today, and it was like a huge deal, and their spinach was good. I just so many great memories. Dr. Good said earlier that the fish, and back in the day when she weighed more, she said she would just get almost a whole plate of tartar sauce to go with her fish,
So
Oh.
Kyle Smoke has chimed in from the crew. He says that his favorite was the Luann platter with cheesesteak.
Oh, the cheesesteak. Yes. Okay, there you go. There you go. Love it.
And the blue Jello, of course.
See, and that's where they had blue, red, green, yellow. They had every color of the rainbow of Jello that you could imagine. And when you're a kid, and it's cut up in those big cubes, and in a fancy kind of looked like a crystal wine glass back in the day, but I know it wasn't. But I have so many great memories of
And it's
Luby's. So I
fast.
was just so sad. Yeah,
You
it was
get through
very.
that line.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
boom, you're in and out.
On the rolls.
Yeah, they had you in and out. Oh, yeah, they had a ton of
waiting.
rolls at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, right at the end of the line. I remember that. Oh, gosh.
Let's go eat.
Okay, Elizabeth said, Brett says chicken fried steak. Oh, yes. They had awesome gravy. They had every kind of gravy you could want there, too.
So smooth. Their mashed potatoes was so smooth. No lumpy,
Yeah,
no lumpy
no
mashed
lumps.
potatoes.
No lumps.
Well, so we will be saying adieu and thank you,
Yeah.
Luby's, for all the memories and all the wonderful food and the yeast rolls and the Jellos and yeah. So
And there will
but
never
we-
be
and we thank
another
the
place
family.
like it. Yeah, there will never be another place like it again. And look, everybody, we're all around the same age. We all have very distinct memories of the food and time with our family. And what's interesting? So I grew up. My brother and I grew up. Luby's was a big part of our after church activities with my grandparents. But what's interesting? Never took my kids to a Luby's after church. It was more like an On the Border or Chili's or, something like that. So it's kind of interesting how, even though it was a huge deal when I was growing up, I didn't make it a huge part of my kids growing up. So that's interesting.
Well, my whole thing is the cafeteria thing with the kids and the different bowls. That could be real messy.
So
there's
what's
a whole lot of
so the
coordinating
question I
going
have
on
is,
there.
What is the new cafeteria, Luby's kind of get together for our kids' generation? What is it going to be when they're our age and they're going to be saying, "Oh, do you remember when that?" And then that place is closing down now.
That's
is
a
that
good
gonna be?
question.
What is it gonna
I
be?
don't
It is.
know. JP,
So,
any thoughts
Kathy,
on
I
that? I
want
don't
to
know.
send this out.
Did you hear? Did
Well,
you hear
let's come
Chuck's
up with that
question?
one.
Yeah, we'll have to think about that.
I
Yeah,
did,
the
and I just
crew.
Is it the delay?
family style places like maybe a Babe's Chicken.
But yeah, Babes.
yeah.
Babes
Babes
is
is-
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really
good.
Yeah, Babes is
Babes.
good. Oh, that makes me want fried chicken, especially Babes fried chicken. That's
Yeah.
good
Or
stuff.
ET's?
So I want to send this out on a positive note, Catherine Ann.
Yes,
and
because we're
Chance.
sad about
Right.
Luby, so
And so-
make us happy now, JP.
Now, Chrissy Teigen. Does anybody remember the name Chrissy Teigen?
Isn't
I have
she the
to?
Might have-
loudmouth who's
Sports
married?
Illustrated.
No.
Are you talking about the one who's married
Sports
to what's his
Illustrated
name?
swimsuit model.
Yeah, I remember
Is
that.
she the one who told everybody that they needed to, when they quarantine, you need to just take care of it and you take care of business? And then she had she goes, have your favorite soup brought to you. And she had like clam chowder flown in from New England or something. Is that the chick
Yeah,
you're
that may have
talking
been
about?
her. Maybe the same one.
Yeah, I can't stand her.
I don't think so. But I'm not going to confirm or deny that story because I don't know if that was her. What I'm going to tell you is that she's gone on Twitter and she has asked teachers to send them her wish list. And she is fulfilling all the teachers' wish lists.
She's making up for bad PR from the beginning of quarantine is what she's doing. Her publicity person has gotten a hold of her.
If that was the same person, again, I can't confirm or deny that.
I'm looking it up.
And so she herself has been homeschooling her daughter Luna and posted a picture of their homeschool and what they do at their homeschool and asked teachers if they were in need of supplies for the upcoming school year and to drop their Amazon wish list. And she will cover as many as she can. And she's been out helping fulfill wish lists on Twitter for teachers across the country for those who have needed school supplies and needed help. So it's a positive story. And it was teacher based. And I thought with a lot of students getting ready to go back to school this week or have gone back to school this week, that it would be a good story to go out the day with.
And we want to hear your stories, your kids who are going back to school. And like Chance and I both have kids who are doing hybrid. So we definitely want to hear what happens when your kids get back in the actual classroom. How is it? Are they excited? I know my son last night was like, now what's the plan for me driving on Thursday and whose car am I taking and this, that, and the other. He can't wait to get back on campus. He cannot wait. So, and I've seen, it's kind of like everybody's doing their second round of pictures today on social media. So we want to hear your stories from the crew.
Would love to hear that. Tell us all about what's going on. And on Friday, we will read them out loud. Just send it to us at jpkathyandthecrew3@gmail.com. That's jpkathyandthecrew3@gmail.com. And I'm going to point up, and I should be pointing at
The link tree.
That's the link tree. Join us there. Get us over on
There you
YouTube.
go.
Find us and watch us and view us. All right. Well, Kathy, have a very blessed Wednesday.
All right. To the crew, have a blessed second half of the week. Can't believe it's already Wednesday. There you go. We will see you on Friday and cannot wait. And then we'll have Dr. Good back on Friday. So we will have our educational expert coming on to talk about kids being back in the classroom or hybrid or how does that work. Love y'all. Love to the
All
crew.
right. Chuck, do we not have fancy music, Chuck?
There
Can
it
you
is.
not hear it?
I can't hear it. Oh, well, let me jam with you. The non-existent music.
Non-existent music. Trust me, it's playing. You don't look crazy.
I don't look crazy? Okay, good. Well, everybody have a very blessed Wednesday. We'll see you all on Friday. See you at 7:30. Don't forget your positive person experience. Yeah, I didn't want to end on